Edna Lockman Bell was my great-great-great-aunt. She lived for 100 years, and I never met her, but she is a person worth remembering. Her story is one worth listening to, worth retelling. She was a teacher, and she made a difference. This story has been passed down by my family, and now I want to share it with you.
Edna Lee Lockman was born in the year 1893 in the Granville Township just north of Dodge City. Her parents, Hugh and Keziah, moved the family to Missouri for a time, and then back to Kansas and Ford County 7 years later. When Edna Lockman first returned to Kansas as an 8-year-old, she and her siblings bawled like babies because they missed the trees of their Missouri home. But it was on the plains of Kansas that Edna would grow and thrive. In 1911, at just 18 years old, Edna began her teaching career in a one-room schoolhouse in Ford County for $45 a month. She taught at several district schools throughout the next years, in Twin Hill, Saw Log, Midland, and Holiday No. 5, to name a few. These classrooms usually had between 10 and 20 children, nearly always one in each of the 8 grades. Edna said that in those days, the teacher in a one-room schoolhouse was everything. Teacher, nurse, and janitor, and she found herself doing each of these jobs. Edna attended the Kansas State Normal Secondary School of Emporia in 1912, which was the chief producer of teachers at the time. In 1918, she took a job in Washington, D.C., working for the Bureau of War Risk Insurance. At the end of the war, when the job was no longer needed, she returned to Ford County, Kansas. After another year of teaching, Edna was encouraged to run for public office. She was elected as superintendent of Ford County Schools in 1921, 10 years after she first began teaching. This same year, she married Edgar A. Cobb, whom she would remain married to until his death in 1946. Together, the couple had one child, Betty Lee Cobb. Edna was married to her second husband, Frank Moore, from 1957 to his death in 1959. She was remarried a third time in 1968 to Fred Bell. The pair were married until 1971 when he died. At 74 years old, Edna was named the Distinguished Older Citizen of Kansas for 1967. She was recognized because of her work and leadership with the Ford County Council on Aging. On January 21, 1993, Edna celebrated her 100th birthday, along with 2 of her close friends who she grew up with and taught alongside. In November of her 100th year, Edna Lockman Bell passed away. She had lived a life spanning a century, filled with excitement and spirit. Sometime before 1978, she received a letter from a former student, 63 years after she had been his teacher. This student, Howard Pine, had been in her class around 1915, and he wrote that he had had many grade school teachers, but that Edna was the best of all. The impact she made on the lives of her students far outlived her time in the one-room schoolhouse, or even as county superintendent. Her legacy as a teacher lives on in all those who remember her, and hers is a story worth being remembered.